It's Ezra Levant for the Rebel.media. I am in the Christian ghetto of Tel Askaf in northern Iraq. I call it a ghetto. It's actually a small town, but I started thinking about the Islamic State's war against the Christian community, and the more I thought about it, the more analogies I saw with the Nazi war against the Jews. For example, where I'm standing right now, I'm in the Christian cemetery of Tel Askaf, and look what the ISIS terrorists did during their time in this city. They were fighting a war against the Iraqi soldiers, against the Peshmerga, against the US Air Force, and yet they took time from their war to come to the Christian cemetery and desecrate graves, to smash crosses, to try to obliterate not only whatever holiness they could smash, but the actual proof of the history of this town as a 1,400-year-old Christian community. And I started thinking of different analogies between ISIS and the Nazis, desecrating graves, going into Christian communities and marking the Christian homes with the Arabic letter Nun, which stands for Nazarene, as in a Christian lives here. And I thought, well, the Nazis did that. They had a J in the passports for Juden, and the Jews had to wear a Star of David on their shoulder. And then I thought, well, when ISIS took control of an area, they brought in their edicts saying that every Christian in the community had to either convert to Islam, be subjected to the jizya, which was a submissive tax, and other laws, or they would be killed. And I thought, well, the Nazis did that too. They called them the Nuremberg laws, that was a submissive restriction of Jewish rights in Germany. I made a few notes of other similarities. I mentioned the ghettos. In Europe, there were little Jewish shtetls. That's what they called these Jewish, predominantly Jewish towns throughout Europe that were either ghettoized by Germans, or the Jews sort of stuck together for safety, or whatever reason it was. The Jews had their little towns. Same thing in northern Iraq. You have these Jewish towns that ISIS wanted to wipe off the map and wipe out of the history books. There's the idea of ethnic cleansing, of removing the Christian fact from Iraq, even though it's been here since the year. I mean, we were in a town called Al-Khuf. The church there was, the first church was built in the year 612. Imagine the ISIS plan to destroy that history going back 1,400 or more years. That's the same thing that Hitler wanted to do, to destroy the Jewish fact in Germany. Two more parallels. I think the world, at least in the beginning, ignored both genocides, wanted to turn a blind eye to the genocide of the Jews in Europe. And I put it to you that to this day, the world is turning a blind eye to the Christian genocide at the hand of Muslim terrorists in Iraq and through the Middle East. We hear a lot about refugees from the region, but they're overwhelmingly Muslim. But there's no anti-Muslim genocide. There is an anti-Christian genocide. And I guess the last comparison I would have between the genocide of the Christians in Arabia and the genocide of the Jews in Europe is that both are following a book. In Europe, they were following Hitler's book, Mein Kampf. Here, they're following the Quran. For the Rebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant. I'm here in northern Iraq with a team looking into the genocide of Christians. If you want to learn more about our journalism and help our humanitarian efforts, please visit SaveTheChristians.com.